We did a sleep study. The average person who put a Jaspr in their bedroom with an Oura ring slept 25 minutes more per night, 18% more deep sleep, 5 minutes faster to fall asleep. So if you believe that sleep is important for your bones and for your recovery, air is one of the easiest ways to improve your sleep quality. Well, think about it. First thing you do when you're born, you take your first breath. Last thing you do is you take your last breath. If food, water, and air are those three major bio requirements that keep us alive, only one of those things is happening 24 hours a day. When you're sleeping,
if you haven't done so already, go ahead and click that subscribe button down below. It's a little red button. You punch that, and it's going to notify you every time we put out a new episode that can help you improve your bone health. And then also, if you haven't done so already, head over to bonecoach.com, sign up for the free 7-day osteoporosis kickstart. That's going to walk you through everything you need to be doing right now to get on the path to improvement and stronger bones. After you do those two things, go ahead and press play on this episode, and I'll see you inside. Welcome to this episode of the Bone Coach Show. Joining us today to explore the air quality in our homes, the toxins we breathe, and how to improve your health with one small change is Mike Feldstein. Mike Feldstein is the founder of Jaspr and an air quality expert. With a background in wildfire restoration, air quality consulting, and home remediation during some of the biggest natural disasters, Mike started Jaspr to innovate in air science and technology. His goal is to protect air quality and improve human health using the latest air quality science. Mike, it's great to have you on the show.
What is going on, Kevin?
I'm looking forward to the conversation because I actually met you at a health conference. I was walking by and I was drawn to the look of Jaspr, which Jaspr, I'm going to have you just explain to people what Jaspr is and then talk a little bit more about the inspiration behind the creation of Jaspr and then what that process looked like.
Yeah, so at that event, we had a very bright blue booth. So the intention was to catch the attention in a sea of sameness generally. Yeah, so my background, like you said, was floods, fires, mold, huge mold toxic events. And we weren't like your restoration company that would be your local guy for a kitchen leak or a bathroom leak or a little house flood. We specifically would travel around North America going to natural disasters. So, we'd go to like North Carolina or Florida and Hurricane Harvey. We would go to like catastrophes, massive disasters. So we'd be dealing with parkades that had 6 underground parking stories filled with water, or hotels that were damaged up to the second floor, or apartment buildings. A lot of homes too, but only homes that were like very much destroyed from disasters. And in being in those wildfire and hurricane and flood zones, I got to experience with my own health how sick people get after environmental disasters, both outside and specifically indoors. And then I got to kind of contrast the equipment that I was using in people's homes to remediate after wildfires, floods, and mold events versus what I found at Best Buy and Walmart and Amazon and Home Depot. So the machines that we were using in restoration world for mold cleanup were these massive industrial air purifiers called air scrubbers. So they were so effective, but the downside was they were really loud and they were really ugly. So it was the perfect piece of equipment for a construction site for a toxic cleanup, but not exactly a practical solution for your everyday mold or your dust or your sleep or your, just a general air purifier. So I saw this like contrast. There's these incredibly effective machines, but they're very loud and very ugly. So they're a huge eyesore. They're super loud. They're just not practical for everyday life. Or you get these cute little gimmicky air purifiers at the Best Buy for a couple $100. And the analogy I like to use for those is those are like kettles, and you can't heat your bathtub with a kettle because a kettle is awesome at making a cup of tea. It's great at heating water in a very small quantity. But if you try to fill your bathtub with a kettle, you can't because it's going to cool down and evaporate faster than you can even heat it up. So the vision for Jaspr was how to create something, an air purifier that was commercially inspired, industrial inspired. It had to have the performance of an industrial grade machine that I was using for heavy duty mold cleanup, but it had to be steel and super high end, but it needed to be quiet it needed to be smart, and it needed to be silent. Because if it's effective but not quiet and beautiful, it's still not a practical solution for a home. So that it took me about 4 years to create something that me as a restoration guy with young daughters would want in our own home. Something that's effective but quiet and practical. So yeah, it just went from testing air and remediating homes to how to create a more proactive solution as opposed to just responding to disasters and fires and floods reactively. Most people have horrible air even when there's not a natural disaster. So I wanted to create an industrial grade product for everyday life because the air keeps getting worse and our solutions are not getting any better.
So just a summary for people. Thanks so much for sharing that, Mike. So just a summary for people. Jaspr it's basically like the ultimate air purifier. It looks beautiful. That's actually one of the things that attracted me to his setup when we were walking through this health conference. And it's for commercial grade air cleaning power, but available in your home or your business or wherever you want clean, healthy air. Now, when we talk about clean, healthy air, let's just talk about why is that important? Why does air itself need to be clean if you're not in a natural disaster setting?
Yeah, so it's luckily this is why we're talking to your audience, people who are already health conscious and health aware and trying to optimize their health. So for all the same things you already know about your water and your food or the chemicals you put on your skin, all the same things apply to air. So how do things get in us? We eat it, we drink it, it absorbs through our skin, or we breathe it. So there's good things that we can get in like that, and there's a lot of bad things too. So, if you drink, you would not go to a pond at the side of the road or the ocean and fill up a cup of water and be like, looks clear, fine to drink. Because we've been educated as a species, we know that our water can be heavily contaminated and it can be really harmful for us. We can get a little bit sick, we get a lot sick, and by not drinking like high quality filtered water, we're just not going to be optimal. Same thing, you could have a really deep fried lunch with a cake. You won't die, but your energy level is going to be horrible. It's going to impact your mood. It might flare up autoimmune stuff. It's just generally going to be poor fuel for your body. Same thing. There's really good high quality skincare products and cosmetic stuff. There's also really bad stuff. So the same thing that you already know in those areas of health apply to your air. So the average home, let's say, has about 1 million particles floating around when we use like a particle counter. Now, an analogy I like to use, if you had a fish bowl with some fish swimming around, do you think it's okay in terms of caring for your fish to just merely scrub the perimeter of the glass bowl every day? Or do you think it might be important for you to filter the water and maybe change that water occasionally? So with our homes, everybody's busy every day, mopping, vacuuming, wiping counters. We're cleaning the glass surfaces of our fishbowl, but we're just sitting here in our dirty, dirty water. It'd be like gray water with algae. We don't really appreciate it because we're not aware of the air we're in. But here we are scrubbing our surfaces with really dirty air. We're not changing the equivalent of filtering our water is filtering our air. And the equivalent of changing our water, how do we change our air? We open windows, we use our vents, we open doors. So it's an integrated approach of you need fresh air and then you need clean air. But when you think about it in the context of like what water is to fish, air is to people, it would seem very silly to be scrubbing that bowl without filtering the water. Meanwhile, we do that every single day.
So what's in the air? I don't want to just focus on the negative without providing the solution. So we're going to talk about,
let's do it.
We're going to talk about the solution in a minute, but let's talk about what are the things we need to be aware of that are in the air that need to be filtered out.
Yeah, absolutely. So there's indoor pollution and there's outdoor pollution. Unfortunately, the outdoor pollution is inside and outside because our indoor air comes from outside. And the average indoor air that's tested is 5 to 10 times dirtier than outside air. It can be a lot more than that as well. And that's because the outdoor air has the world's best air purifier. It has nature. It has trees. It has the sun, which is the best UV light of all time. We have the rain to wash particles away. We have the wind to agitate and disturb and filter. Unfortunately, with our homes, we've left all of those natural air filters outside. So outdoor air pollution, there's mold, there's pollen, there's pollution from cars, there's the rubber that gets decayed from tires in vehicles, there's cooking, there's cleaning, there's chemicals, there's industry. There's the glyphosate from your neighbor's yard, somebody a block away who's cutting 2x4s and tile for their bathroom renovation. All of that gets kicked up into the air. We can't necessarily see it. And then on the indoor side, we have all those outdoor pollutants that come inside. But then that gets compounded because we also have pet dander. We have our candles. We have incense. We have every building material that's off gassing. So furniture, paint, drywall, our couch, our tables, everything is fire retardants and forever chemicals, PFAs, PFAS. So you have all the off gassing and the VOCs from all the building materials. Everything in our homes were manufactured in a factory not long ago. And they usually don't have enough time to off gas. So they're manufactured, then they're instantly packaged up in airtight packaging. It goes to the distributor, then it goes to your house, and the off gassing process happens in your home. So it's that new car smell is not necessarily very good for you. And then the other big one inside is your personal care products, the hairsprays, the shampoos, the soaps, and then cooking. Cooking is nearly at the top of the list of the most polluting things that we do inside.
Yeah, and it's so important to understand. And then we do, in some situations, people do have mold in their homes or other potential issues. So some of those things that you saw in the natural disaster restoration world, some of those things are actually in people's homes without having had that full natural disaster, right?
Oh yeah, almost. So they common stat is 70% of homes in America have excess levels of mold. I mean, it's a very hard stat to prove for sure. I can say there's a lot of cities where I've been in. I always tell friends, if you're ever in a lease and you want to break the lease, give me a call. I'll come over. I'll find the mold. And I've never gone to someone's house where I couldn't find some mold. And there's like the visible physical black mold that could be lurking from a foundation crack or a roof leak or a pipe dripping behind a wall. But then there's just airborne mold that's from an excessive amount of humidity with poor airflow. So it's like that air and that water in that tank not being filtered, not being changed. So a lot of people, they don't necessarily have black mold on the walls, but the mold spore count and the allergen loads in their home are very, very high.
I remember when I lived in Florida and I was in an apartment and I saw there was black mold in the actual vent. They had painted over it. And I saw it there, and it must have, the paint had worn off or something like that. And that was actually how I got to break my lease. Was I was like, look, I've been breathing this mold in for a long period of time, and this is toxic to my health. And I knew that 15 years ago. And then one of the things that you brought up, and this is actually, Mike and I actually had like, I don't know, an hour-long conversation when I first met him, because I was so genuinely interested in this and how specific and knowledge base he is around this. And that's why I knew he had to come speak to our audience. But one of the questions I asked him was, I'm in the middle of a home build right now. And when I move into that house, that new house, you talked about the new car smell, or you're unpacking furniture. And sometimes you feel like it smells fresh, but that's not necessarily a good thing. So all those chemicals and the off gassing, all that's going into your house. And I think you mentioned something about I need to number one, let that air out. So if you've just moved in somewhere, first let it air out, but then that then underscores the importance of making sure we're cleaning that air too, right?
With your home, when you mentioned you're moving into a new home, I'm like, if you have the luxury, and I mean, not everybody does. Like the worst case scenario is you're moving to a new home that's built in the middle of the winter or the heat of a hot summer, and you're forced to move in quickly, and opening windows is not really a viable option for you. That's the worst case scenario. If so, I'd still say like, hey, when you go out during the day, let it breathe. But if you have an opportunity to move where you are going to be moving into a new home, but you can give it at least a couple weeks, a month is better, but a week or two where you can have like all of the windows open and just letting that house breathe. So all that initial off gassing and those chemicals, you're not bringing all your furniture and you're not bringing all your clothes and all the stuff you already have to be the sponge that absorbs that off gassing. If that off gassing can happen while your house is breathing, and then do your surface clean, but let the home breathe first. That is like 100% low hanging fruit, table stakes if you have the time. And I wish I could just say, don't worry about it, move in, turn your Jaspers on, it's all good. But it's like it comes back to that analogy of you want to change the water and filter the water. The best thing before you move in is fresh water, letting that air change, letting nature's air purifier come inside. Letting some of that charged air flow through your home, letting that cross ventilation and that breathe help off gas things. So making your indoor environment more harmonious with the outdoor environment to just, off gas and breathe before you move all your stuff in there. This is just a unbelievably low hanging fruit. And then when you do move in, especially if the temperature is reasonably temperate, leave your whether you're leaving your bathroom fan on or your rain hood or using your windows, just make sure that home is breathing. Now, a lot of new homes have something called an ERV or an HRV, which is basically a fresh air system. It's a ventilation system that's energy efficient. So if you do have an ERV or an HRV, I would recommend running it continuously. And a lot of new build homes do have these installed into the furnace system.
Understood. And for those of us who are health conscious, which is mostly our audience, right? We've got a couple 100,000 people that have osteoporosis or trying to build stronger bones. They're focused on what are the other causes and contributors of, my health issues. And they're trying to address those things. Just be aware that air can be one of those contributing things. And you actually said something to me where you said, we drink 3 liters of water, we eat 3 pounds of food, we breathe 1,000 liters of air each day. Like that is
no, 15,000 liters of air.
15,000 liters of air.
It's between 10 and 20,000, depending on your respiratory rate, but at least 10,000.
Right. So that number alone, like that really puts into perspective the importance of the air we breathe. And you also mentioned some other things around the importance of air we breathe, like in terms of order of priority of us surviving, right?
Well, think about it. First thing you do when you're born, you take your first breath. The last thing you do before you die, you take your first breath. Last thing you do is you take your last breath. If food, water, and air are those 3 major bio requirements that keep us alive, only one of those things is happening 24 hours a day. When you're sleeping, the only fuel you have for sleep is air. No food, no water. So, unfortunately, the nice thing is, delicious food can be very enticing. Unhealthy foods can be very addictive and enticing. The willpower to exercise is sometimes also difficult to conjure up. But there's nothing that's nice about drinking dirty water or breathing bad air. Like, it's one of those, I love this quote that clean air is the laziest way to be healthy. It's like, it's step 0 on your health journey. How many people, we talk about the food we eat, we talk about the water we drink, but literally breath work is talked about more than the actual air we're even breathing. So people are very, hyperventilating and doing their holotropic breathing, which I think has a lot of cool merits to it, with heavily polluted air. This is like chugging dirty water. It doesn't really make much sense. So from a just general like core survival, another saying is you can go 3 weeks without food, 3 days without water, and only 3 minutes without air. And I actually think this is why we are not air aware, is because it's something that we do 24 hours a day, 365. Where, you go to someone's house that may smell like cooking or a wet dog or something. Within a few minutes, you don't smell it anymore. It's like, why are there fish in the parts of the ocean that are polluted? Why don't they just swim to cleaner waters? And it's because likely they're not even aware of the water that they're in. So for us, it's not we're separate from air. We live in air. And our air awareness is generally very, very poor.
And for the person who's listening to this, who's like, I have an HVAC system in my house. I buy the nice filter that says it's going to filter all this stuff out. What are your thoughts around that? Is that enough? Hey, it's Bone Coach Kevin Ellis. I want to take one more minute to talk about if you are somebody who was newly diagnosed with osteopenia or osteoporosis, and you're at a point where you're stressed, you're worried, you're overwhelmed, you have no idea where to start or how to get started getting confident in your plan. I want to tell you about the Stronger Bone Solution Program. Over 5,000 people have come through the Stronger Bone Solution Program, and it walks you through the exact process you need to fill in the missing pieces, uncover critical things in your plan that you may not be aware of, and help you make modifications, adjustments, and tweaks to get you to the place where you're building stronger bones. I want you to get confident in your plan so that you can focus on living life and enjoying the life that you deserve with the people you love most. So if that's where you want to be, head over to bonecoach.com/apply and apply for our Stronger Bone Solution Program right now. I'm Bone Coach Kevin Ellis. I want to see you inside this program. I want to help you get on the path to improvement and stronger bones. Hope to see you inside very soon. Let's get back to the episode.
So I use the cheapest, weakest furnace filter. And the key, it's called a furnace filter, not called an air filter. It's called a furnace filter. And that's because it's a filter for your furnace. So it's not designed to replace your air filtration system. When you buy a furnace or an air conditioning system, they don't even claim that it's designed to clean your air. The furnace filter's primary goal is to make sure big chunks of pet hair, dust, debris, a screw from construction don't go into the motor and break your furnace, your air conditioner, your HVAC system. So by adding intense filtration to the system, what you do is you actually create a pressure drop. You're adding resistance where it's not supposed to be. So now your machine that's designed to heat and cool and mix air, it has an extra restriction. And now you're not able to heat or cool or ventilate and mix air nearly as effectively. So it's a nice kind of idea. And by the way, before we created the Jaspr that you see today, we spent about 3 years developing a furnace style air filtration system. It just didn't work. I thought it would have been such a beautiful, elegant system, out of sight, out of mind, leveraging our existing fans and all that, but it just didn't work at all because you want your furnace to turn on and off throughout the day. It's supposed to run minimally to be energy efficient. So when it's not running, the air is not being cleaned. Also, you want to have the cleanest air in the places you need it most. If you're leveraging your furnace to clean your air, you're literally cleaning the air in your crawl space or in your hallway as much as your baby's bedroom. This doesn't make any sense. You want the cleanest air where you're sleeping, where you're hanging out, and taking a much more focused approach to it. So yeah, I use the lowest grade filter, a MERV 8. And when I change my filter once or twice a year, and it's pristine. It's still perfectly clean. Like a dirty furnace filter is, however, a symptom of poor indoor air. If you have really clean air, that furnace filter is not going to get a lot of use. It's going to be designed to do its job, allow the air to flow efficiently so you can heat and cool. Yeah, so it's trying to use something that it wasn't originally designed for, which is always something that we try to do. But unfortunately, in this case, now if someone's developing a custom house from scratch, not like a subdivision home, but like a brand new custom home, and no expenses are spared, you can spend $50,000-$60,000 and put in a really advanced air filtration system that'll be pretty effective. But I mean, it's not going to be any more effective than 4 Jaspers. But if somebody has an unlimited budget and they are building a custom home, it is feasible to do it with HVAC, but it's not readily available in a standard home or in a retrofit application.
Understood. Okay, so now let's talk about Jaspr itself, because Jaspr is this ultimate air purifier. That is what drew me to the area. Is it's beautiful. It's like beautifully designed. It's almost like an art piece kind of in your home, which looks great, which was really surprising to find out that then it was an air purifier. And it actually has a very specific purpose. And maybe you could let's talk about Jaspr itself now and what it does,
Sure.
how it cleans the air, and how it makes sure that the air we're breathing in is actually going to be good for our health.
Yeah, so Jaspr is designed to filter out everything we talked about. The smoke, the mold, the cooking particulates, all the allergens, the pet dander. It's designed, and there's 3 layers of filtration. There's the pre-filter, which captures your pet fur and your big dust particles. There's the HEPA, which is capturing your mold, your bacteria, your viruses, your pollen. And then you have the carbon filter, and that's designed to handle odors and gases. Because the actual HEPA filter, it can't filter gas. Gas will pass right through it. So we have carbon that absorbs those odors and gases. Now, the original vision for Jaspr was me as an industrial mold man. I wanted to create literally an air purifier that I could have done mold remediation with. It would be that industrial, but in a package, because like people's air is getting worse and the importance of clean air has never been higher, but there's not really like a good solution. So the same way that you could go to Walmart and you could buy a kettle for $19 and it will heat your water just fine. No doubt about it. It'll get your water hot. You could also go and buy a kettle for $70, $80, $90, $100. What's the difference? Well, one might be made out of plastic, which debatably is, putting microplastics in your water. The other one could be made out of metal or glass. So it's going to be a higher material. That plastic one likely is going to be very ugly on your countertop. It's going to be the kind of thing that every time you're done using it, you're hiding it under the counter. Or you might have a glass one or a black, a metal kettle. And that one, you may leave it on the countertop all the time because not only does it do a really good job heating your water, in a quick fashion, but it looks good while doing it. It's like functional art. It's decor in your home. People would stage their house with decor like this. So you could buy a air purifier that is the cheap, small, ineffective ones. I'm not a fan of. You can also buy a fairly cost-effective air filter. You can even make your own DIY air filter that for a couple $100. That would be very effective. Where the trade-off happens, it's going to be loud, it's going to be ugly, and it's not going to sense the air in real time. So I wanted to make a product that would be effective, beautiful, and kind of out of sight, out of mind. Or sorry, like I wouldn't need to touch it. So it has sensors on board. So there's no Wi-Fi, there's no Bluetooth, there's no EMF, there's no apps. It's a very simple product. We went with a very modern, minimalistic design. So its core differentiator is it's large, it's made from a beautiful cold rolled steel, and then we used all commercial grade parts. So what your real magic sauce is the filter itself, and then it's just put in a very powerful housing. And then where we really invested heavily was the sensors. So if you have a Jaspr in your bedroom or across the living room or your kitchen, and you just leave it on smart mode, anytime you cook, even a grass-fed, grass-finished steak with some organic oil, it's still going to pick up on those pollutants. If someone's using hairspray or barbecuing like outside, it's likely going to pick up on the pollutants. If there's wildfire smoke 1,000 miles away, that's blowing through your town. So it's going to be quiet, and you're going to see that green light. And in addition to that, you don't just see green, yellow, red, but it actually shows you the PM 2.5, the particles on the screen in real time. So as soon as you start cooking, cleaning, using a candle, using a humidifier, it works to actually educate you on what's going on in your air. So it's kind of part air filtration system and part air monitoring system.
I love that. And yeah, it does have this beautiful monitoring system right on the top. I saw one of the things that you say is that if you don't filter your air, your lungs are the filter, right? I love that. I love that because it really brings to life, like, look, if you were to hold up an air filter, you actually have images of this on the Jaspr site, which by the way, Mike was nice enough for our audience. He created a code, use code Bone Coach, and you'll be able to get a discount on your Jaspr. And we'll tell you about that in just a little bit. But on the site, he's actually got an image of what a filter looks like, or multiple filters, what they look like, that show all the stuff that is sucking out of the air. And if you are not filtering that air, your lungs are going to become that filter. So I absolutely love that. And so with the filter system, can you talk about that for a second too? Hey, it's Bone Coach Kevin Ellis. Thanks so much for tuning into this episode of the Bone Coach Show. If you're finding it helpful, please leave a positive rating and review. Hit that like button, subscribe to the podcast or the channel. That lets us help more people and reach and serve more people. And it also lets us know that this is helpful to you on your journey to better health and stronger bones. And then also, right down in the show notes, you can actually find a link to my free Bone Healthy Recipes Guide. That's going to give you access to some amazing and delicious recipes to support your journey to stronger bones. And then also we have a link to my free Stronger Bones Masterclass in the show notes too. And that is the 3-step process that has helped people in over 1,500 cities around the world get confident in their plan for stronger bones. Over 110,000 people have taken part in this, and it's been really, really helpful for them. And I want you to have free access to it too. So add your name and email right down there in the show notes, get access to that free Stronger Bones Masterclass, and let's get you confident in your Stronger Bones plan today.
Yeah, absolutely. And if the average person just tests the air, like if you took a little sample of the air right now in your home and you put it under a microscope, there's always mold. There's always insect parts, dead skin cells. Like, it's just the reality of the situation. It's not designed to scare us. And our human bodies are very adept to handling a certain amount of stressors. We can take this stuff, but outside, it's a lot less harmful for us because of all of the airflow that occurs outside. Where we're really concerned is in these artificial indoor environments that we've created. Like, it's pretty remarkable what us humans have done for human comfort. That it could be minus 30 degrees outside or 115 out, and it could be or it could be 69 or 70 degrees in our home. So of course, there's going to be some amount of trade-off when you are talking about conditioning the air and the environment, where basically our homes are like a bottle of water. We're confining this little bit of air, and we're perfectly controlling the temperature to maximize for our own thermal comfort. So now, once we've done that, now we have to do the other side of it, which is filtering that air out. So it's really a problem because of the nature of how much time we spend indoors. So when you ask me to explain a little bit more about the filter, are you speaking to the?
In terms of like, so how frequently do we need to change the filter? I know
Got
you
it.
guys have
Got it.
have it set up to where there's like almost a subscription where you can get on to change the filter automatically. It kind of puts that on autopilot, which is really helpful.
Oh, yes. Yeah. So the filter, you want to change that twice a year. And the way we've designed the business and the program is a new filter automatically shows up at your door after 6 months. Any air purifier you see that has a little red light to remind you to change the filter, there's no pressure sensor in there that's actually measuring airflow. So all that is a little teeny clock. It's basically a gimmick because it's not actually, it's not like the oil sensor in your car that tells you when you need an oil change or the gas sensor that tells you when it's time to fill your gas tank. It's literally just a little clock. It's a little timer. And with the carbon in your filter, whether you're using your air purifier or not, it's getting absorbed by the ambient air. So in a residential setting, in the doctor's office, they want to be changing their filters more often, every 3 or 4 months. It's a commercial setting. In a residential setting, whether you have pets or not, 6 months is the ideal amount of time to change your filter. What we've done is we actually combined the filter subscription with the lifetime warranty, which is something we're very, very proud of. So most air purifiers, most consumer electronics have 1 year warranties, which is to me mind blowing because they would love to have a 3 or a 5 year warranty. It would help them sell a lot more. It would be a better reassuring guarantee for their customers. Why would a company have a 1 year warranty? Because they're concerned the product's not going to last more than a year. They're confident it's going to be okay for a year, but after the year, you're on your own. And I hate that. So 70% of people never change their air filter once. You buy your little air purifier, you go to Home Depot, you go to Amazon, 6, 7 months later, the little red light turns red. Now you got to go look up. It's like changing the ink in your printer. Now you go back to the Home Depot. They don't even carry that model anymore. Now you can't even buy the filter for the machine. So now you've got this cute little air purifier that you weren't even sure if it's working. It's out of warranty. You can't find a replacement filter. You're tracking it down online. This is horribly annoying. And I hate when I buy a product and it breaks and I have warranty and you call the company. First of all, I don't like that I have to call the company. And then they want to know if I have the original receipt. Do I have the original box and packaging? If not, I got to go buy this weird shaped box wherever I find it. Then I need to print labels. They want me to send them photos and videos and talk to customer support. Then they pre-auth my credit card. Then I got to go to FedEx or UPS and ship it back to them with the hopes that in a month or two later, they might give me back my refund and they might send me a new one. So I hate that from a consumer perspective. Yeah. So what we did is as long as someone's changing their filter twice a year, they have a lifetime warranty. So what that means is let's say your Jaspr breaks. It could be 4 months, it could be 4 years, it could be 6 years later. We instantly ship you a new Jaspr. You take the new Jaspr out of the box. You put the old Jaspr in the box. Then we give you a prepaid shipping label from UPS. It's already in the box. And we pay to have UPS come to your house and pick it up at 9 a.m. the next day. So the whole idea is companies have these customer service departments. It's 50 people, 100 people designed to politely say no. So instead of having a whole army of customer support people, we believe it's cheaper to just trust your customers. If they say their Jaspr has an issue, we just believe them. We ship them a brand new one. And why should the customer have to pay for shipping and receiving and getting boxes? So none of that. We ship you the brand new box. Also, something that we just started doing, you know how I talked about all the stuff in your home? It doesn't get to off gas. So by the time it shows up in your home, you're the one who's dealing with the off gassing, whether it's in your baby's nursery or your new furniture. What we've just started to implement is right before we ship the Jaspr to your house, we actually take the filter out of the bag. We take the purifier out of the bag. So while it's shipping to you, it gets that whole week to off gas while in transit. So as soon as it shows up, you don't even have to take the one that you have. You're going to have to take the filter out of the bag. The new ones, you literally take the Jaspr out of the box, you plug it in. We've already done all the unpackaging and all that stuff for you. So you just take it out of the box and you plug it in. So yeah, the filter is every 6 months, and we've really tied that to the warranty to just give people a headache-free experience forever. We call it the last air purifier people ever need to buy.
I love it. And just so everybody knows too, like I have people that come to me almost every single day asking me to promote certain products and things all the time. This is a product that I actually saw, approached Mike, started talking to him, had an hour-long conversation, and knew this was something I wanted to put in front of our audience because number one, I love Mike's approach to taking care of customers, and he genuinely cares about people. The product, it's not definitely not the cheapest product. So if that's what you're looking for, this is not what that is. But it is a good quality product, and they'll stand behind their warranty. And I love when we see businesses like this that are really genuinely doing good things in the space and that genuinely care about the end consumer. And, I always want to support businesses that are doing the right thing. So I would just say kudos to you, Mike, which is fantastic. So what I want to make sure we do is help everybody understand where they can find this. It's at jaspr.co. Now, when you go try to spell out Jaspr, it's with no E, it's JASPR, JASPR.co. And then it's code Bone Coach.
Here, I'll give you all the details.
Yeah,
I just made sure it was all set up. So yeah, there's a reason why you cannot find Jaspr on Amazon, Best Buy, Walmart, Home Depot. I specifically believe in speaking to health conscious audiences because the world's going to need a lot of clean air ambassadors out there. We need people who take their health seriously because right now air awareness lags water awareness by probably 10 years. That was probably 20 years before COVID. We started to all learn a little bit more about it. It lacks food awareness by a very long period of time. So if we were on Amazon or Best Buy or anything like that, first of all, we wouldn't be able to go and give big discounts because the store would take all the margin. But also, we wouldn't be able to provide that level of customer support and education and service. Because, when you buy something from Best Buy or Amazon, if you have any issue, you have to go back to some store, wait in line, or go to the Whole Foods or the UPS and ship it back to Amazon. There's no one on those companies that can be an advocate for the company and the product and explain to people how it works and support it really well. So we sell directly to the customers. So there's no middleman killing our ability to provide a world-class experience and provide world-class discounts. We're not running fancy advertising campaigns. We believe the best thing to do is just educate and give people a good offer. So today is November 7th. That's when this is coming out. And Black Friday is going to be in a few weeks from now. So what we're going to do for your community and your early listeners is now between November 7th and November 14th for a full week, we're giving your community the early Black Friday off. And this is important because we're going to be probably backordered by 2 months by the time Black Friday comes around. So I wanted to give your listeners the early access to the Black Friday deal. So there's no deal available on our website. There's no deal available on our social media, nowhere. So code Bone Coach from November 7th to November 14th for the full week. Code Bone Coach is $400 off. Our website is jaspr.co, JASPR.co. No E. And we have a 30-day money back guarantee. And if it takes you 60 days, we'll still honor it. But the truth is, if you're not fully feeling the effects of clean air in your home in the first week, I would say send it back. You have a full month to trial Jaspr. But if it's not a no-brainer, if it's not making you sleep better, which, by the way, that's one thing we didn't mention today. In August, we did a sleep study. The average person who put a Jaspr in their bedroom with an Oura Ring slept 25 minutes more per night, 18% more deep sleep, 5 minutes faster to fall asleep. So if you believe that sleep is important for your bones and for your recovery, air is one of the easiest ways to improve your sleep quality. So that's going to be a low-hanging fruit for people. So just to recap that again, code Bone Coach, November 7th, the 14th is $400 off. Also, when you buy more, like 2, 3, or 4, we have bundle discounts. So code Bone Coach will actually stack with our bundles. So they can save even $500 and $600 on Jaspr when they bundle. And a lot of people do get more to give their whole home a solution and not just one room. And then after November 7th, for the rest of time, code Bone, we'll leave Bone Coach live forever, and it'll always be a 10% discount. Not every week is Invest in Air Purifier week, but for those who this feels like the right moment to do so, code Bone Coach, $400 off November 7th to the 14th at Jaspr, no E, JASPR.co.
Really generous of you, Mike. Thanks so much for looking out for our
Thanks
audience.
for having me, man.
Yeah, no, this is.
And if anybody hits you up with more questions or anything like that, if anyone has questions, whether you want to do an Instagram live or even if you just shot me an email of questions, you're like, hey, here's 8 questions I got after the episode. I'll go and record like a Loom or a YouTube video answering all those questions so you can send it to people. So if anybody has follow-up questions, you can ask us directly, shoot us an email, DM us on Instagram.
Yeah.
We're here to educate and help. This is just the beginning.
Yeah. And if you're on social too, just comment down below. We may do something where you comment Jaspr, Jaspr. It'll automatically send you everything you need to know about the episode, about where to get the Jaspr, how to get the discount, all that stuff. So we'll probably just have you comment Jaspr, or just go right down in the show notes if you're on the podcast or YouTube, and you'll find all the resources. Use code BoneCoach. All that stuff's going to be over at bonecoach.com. And Mike, I just want to thank you again. And like I said, for everybody listening,
Thank you, man.
I have a ton of people that come to me asking to listen to their products or promote their products, or asking me to put this in front of our audience. And I have a pretty strong filter for the things that I will put.
No pun intended.
Yeah, no pun intended. But 99.5% of the things that are coming, you don't ever see them or hear about them. This is one that I think is important, and I would put my stamp of approval on. So Mike, thanks so much.
You are the filter for your community.
I am the lungs.
You are a HEPA filter. 99.5%. You are a good filter.
Awesome. Well, Mike, thanks so much. Appreciate you, and everybody listening. Again, find all the resources, show notes, everything at bonecoach.com. We'll see you in the next episode. Hey, it's Bone Coach Kevin Ellis. Hope you found that episode helpful and that you enjoyed it. Just one last reminder, if you haven't done so already, head over to bonecoach.com, sign up for your free 7-day osteoporosis kickstart. It's going to tell you everything you need to do to start getting on the path to improvement. Hope you found this helpful. I'm your Bone Coach Kevin Ellis. I'll see you soon.